Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our today's session on data analytics or Python by Business Data Laboratory. So we're going to be talking about Python and also the use of Python in data analysis. So what's going to be our today's takeaway? So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is why should you choose data analysis as a career? So why should you be a data analyst? What are the perks of you becoming a data analyst? So all of this we're going to be talking about in today's session, and also why the Python programming language in data analysis. Why not another tool? So why are we using Python, and what use will Python be of us as a data analyst? We'll also be talking about why you should learn from us at Business Data Laboratory. So what do we have to offer to you people for you to learn from us as Business Data Laboratory? We'll also be introducing our instructors. We are going to be meeting with our instructors and also know who they are and also know their qualifications. So why a career as a data analyst? So first of all, we need to know what is data analysis. So data analysis actually is just simply getting insights from the data. So you have a problem and you want to know how to solve that particular problem, and you have a data regarding to that problem. So when you analyze that data, you look into the data, you can get insights from this data, which is going to help you in providing solution for your problem. So part of what a data analyst do, a data analyst sources and gathers data. So it is the work of a data analyst. Once the data has already declared the problem, okay, where can I get data regarding this particular issue so that I can be able to solve it? So the data analysts have to source that data and also gather the data. Some of the times this data can be in one place, some of the times they can be scattered, and it is the work of the data analyst to gather it from various places. So then the next thing is to clean and organize this particular data that the data analyst has gathered. So these data are not going to be coming neat, they are going to be coming dirty, and are going to be coming in messy formats. So the data analyst has to clean this data and also organize this data, put them together so as to make our work more easier when analyzing this data. One cannot perform an analysis on an unclean data or an unorganized data. So the data needs to be organized and clean for one to be able to perform insights and also to even keep the data for reference and future purposes. Then after the data analyst has already cleaned this data, the data analyst have to use this data to get meaningful insights. So this is where the real work of the analysis comes in place. So the data analyst have to look at the data and decide, okay, what insights can I get from this data and what are the meaningful conclusions which I can make from this particular data? Is the data making sense? Can I get information that can solve my problem with this data? So this is one of the major tasks of the data analyst, to derive insights from this data, to derive meaningful insights from this data. After then, the data analyst now have to communicate the results to others so that it will be easy for them to understand. This can be through visuals and reports. So the data analyst have to be able to pass what he or she have already seen from this data. So a typical example is like you want to see how an organization has been performing in the past year. So this data analyst now looks for the data, sources this data, gathers it. After gathering it, then now cleans it. Just have to preserve the variables or to preserve the major information which he or she will be needing. Then we'll now use a specific tool to analyze this data and also derive insight. Then we'll now use this particular insights to pass communication to the management so that, okay, the management, this was what I found regarding this data of our organization. We're able to reach this particular conclusion, and through visuals and reports, because sometimes the management are not technical. So it is the job of the data analyst to be able to pass this information easily for them so that they can be able to assimilate or understand. So why career now as a data analyst? Why should one now become a data analyst? Well, the salary range of data analyst ranges from 168,000 naira to 481,000 naira. So this is actually an estimate. So it can be more than that. Or we can just restrict this to our locality. So it can be more than that outside the scope of Nigeria. And for my experienced data analysts, the salary range goes beyond that. So this is one of the advantages of being a data analyst. They have a high salary, they have a high paycheck. And also there's the option of working in a remote or hybrid work option. So it's not a kind of a role where one needs to be on site all the time. So one can work remotely or maybe hybrid. So going to the office or going to the location once in a while. One can also freelance as a data analyst. If you choose to be on your own, to stand on your own, one can choose to be a freelancer, collecting gigs or collecting jobs from individuals or organizations. So one can get jobs from individuals, one can also get jobs from organizations. And one can also start this our own consulting firm as a data analyst. So this is one of the advantages of becoming a data analyst, and one of the perks also of becoming a data analyst. So why learn from Business Data Laboratory? So Business Data Laboratory is a data science and data analysis consulting company. So we offer solutions to organizations which who need to solve problems using the principle of data science and data analytics. So what we do, we solve organization problems using data analysis. So we help provide solutions to organizations. We offer consultation services also to organizations, and we also offer training for individuals and also organizations. We have our classes which are in person. We have in-person classes for those who think it is suitable for them to attend a physical class. And we also have option of virtual classes. So these virtual classes can be in the form of Zoom meetings, shared document management, recorded classes, email/chat, messenger, weekly/weekend online classes. So the virtual classes is flexible in the sense that it's based on your schedule. If you are someone that is going to the work, that's a 9 to 5, you're working a 9 to 5, we have classes scheduled in the evening for you to be able to attend. We also have recorded classes too, also in case you miss a particular class. And we also chat with our students to know the problem that they are facing through. How can we help them, and where are they facing challenges? We also have weekend online classes also for those who are not even free at all during the week. So these are some of the flexibility which we have in our virtual classes for those that are not able to attend the on-site classes. So our curriculum is skill-tailored curriculum. It is a very comprehensive curriculum, and it is suited to make you to be one of the best data analysts. And we also have dedicated and supportive instructors who are going to help you and also understanding with good communication skills. We have flexible schedule, which I've already explained earlier on. It is flexible to just meet your demands and needs. In case you're not able to attend a particular class, you have the option of also attending another class fitting your schedule. And we also have option of virtual classes and also portfolio-ready projects. So portfolio-ready projects are going to be building real-life projects and also working on real-life data sets. So these real-life data sets are going to prepare you for you to be able to handle data in case you are to see yourself working in an organization. So these projects are designed to be able to help you to handle real-life data. You have an opportunity to work on messy data. You have opportunity to work on dirty data. Also be opportunity to clean data yourself and also derive that insights, and also be able to pass your communication also to others, and also collaborate also with peers. Because also, as a data analyst also, you need to have collaboration skills to be able to collaborate with others too also. So these are some of the things which the portfolio-ready projects are going to build. So these are our instructors. Our first instructor I'm going to introduce is Bilkisu Olatunji. So she has an MSc in Information Technology, and she's a data scientist and R-Shiny developer, and also a certified RStudio instructor. So one important thing also I would like to share is that our instructors are not just only restricted to a particular language or a particular tool. So we are all capable of working with various tools regarding data science and data analytics. We are all able to use that tools. We are all able to also work with those tools and collaborate with others too using other tools. So the next instructor is also a certified Scrum Master, product owner, and an Agile coach. Our next instructor is Amayiraho Robinson Uganda, who is also a statistician, a data scientist, and R-Shiny developer, a certified RStudio instructor. And also, I am talking Adejumo Ridwan Suleiman, a statistician, a data scientist, and R-Shiny developer, and also a Udemy instructor. And our last instructor is Faida Bukola Bello, so a statistician, a data scientist, and R-Shiny developer, and also a certified Scrum Master. So these are our instructors which I've already met. So they are all satisfied and also have a good reputation in terms of data science and also data analytics. So now, we're talking about Python. So what is actually the Python programming language? So what is Python? So I know the word Python or the programming language Python is not something new to us. Anyhow, some of us might have already had it in a particular place, but what is this Python programming language? So Python is a high-level and multi-purpose programming language. So when we are talking about the programming is high-level, it means the programming language is designed to be easily used by a human. So which means after a human gives the command and also the codes to perform a particular task on that programming language, then that programming language now interprets it for the computer. So this is what makes a programming language high-level. So a high-level programming language is easy to understand by humans and also easy to work with by humans. It's also multi-purpose. And when we say a programming language is multi-purpose, it means that it can be used in various aspects or various fields. So we can be using Python in various fields, which means that Python cannot just only be used in the field of data analysis, it can also be used in other areas. So one of the areas which Python can be used in terms of web development. So you can use the Python programming language in web development to build websites, to build a website for people either in the front end or also at the back end. So this is one of the uses of Python programming language. We also have, in terms of artificial intelligence, it is used in designing AI apps or using designing AI applications. So the Python programming language is used to write AI applications. We also have in terms of data analysis, which is our major focus on. So that is, you can use the Python programming language to analyze data. We also have robotics and automation. You can use the Python programming language in the robotics and automation field, and also have scientific computing. So one of the use of learning a multipurpose programming language is the fact that when you want to make a career sheet, it makes it easy for you. So as a data analyst, if you want to make a career sheet, maybe web development or AI, then you can just shift to the career since you already have the knowledge of that particular programming language. So what it just left for you is to learn the frameworks or libraries that are used in that particular field. Or you're a web developer, you feel like switching to data analysis, you can also switch to it with ease because you already have an understanding of the Python programming language. So now, why are we using Python for data analysis? So one of the major and most important reasons of using Python is the fact that it's open source. So when we say the programming language is open source, it means that it is free for everyone to use. So everyone can use it, and also everybody can contribute to this particular programming language. So if you have a feature which you as a developer now, you feel like you have a feature which you think is going to be good for users of the Python programming language, you can share this feature to others, and also others are going to be using it in Python programming language, which means that you have already made your code open source, everybody can use it, and the fact that even the programming language is open source, so it is not owned by a particular individual, it is not proprietary, so everybody can use it and do anything they want to do with it. So it is free to use, and also anytime there are issues with it, people are able to contribute all over the globe. So it is also beginner friendly, and due to its simplicity, it is readable and also flexible. So this is also one of the advantages of Python, and one of the reasons that makes it popular. So it is easy to read, very easy to understand. It just looks like reading a sentence. So it is not as abstract as other programming language. It is beginner friendly, and it is even taught to kids in schools. This is due to its simplicity. So which means that even as an adult, one will not encounter any issue learning the Python programming language. It is also easy to read and also flexible as a programming language. It is also multipurpose. These I've already explained earlier on. You can use it in various fields. You can use it in various fields of life. You can use it in various careers too. Also, the Python programming language is multipurpose and can be used in majority of what areas. And it has a large and active community of users. So in case you got stuck in solving a particular problem, you have no problem, you have access to a large community of Python users who are willing to help you. Or in case you have a problem, you're encountering an issue, and you need someone to help you, or you need to collaborate with someone on a particular project, you have no issue. And also, when applying for jobs, because of its popularity, it is an advantage for one to know the Python programming language. So which means that when you want to collaborate with your colleagues or others in your workplace, you are already sharing the same, you already have this, you are already working, the organization is working on Python. So you can be able to also join them and work on a particular project or task because you also have the knowledge of this particular programming language. So the users is large, the number of users is large, and the community is also active and also large. So once you go on Google to search for a particular problem, or you go maybe on a website to search for a particular problem you encounter in Python, you are not going to encounter any problem or issue finding the solution to your problem. So as a data analyst now that we want to use Python now, so what do we need to be able, what do we need to set up to use the Python programming language? So various fields have ways of using the Python programming language, but as a data analyst, we need to have ANACONDA, and ANACONDA is an open source distribution of Python programming language and also other programming languages such as R. So ANACONDA makes it easy for a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, a data analyst to be able to work with data using the Python programming language. So what ANACONDA just does is that, okay, we have many libraries or many tools which we want to work with as a data analyst. So it brings all of this together instead of inserting everything, instead of installing everything separately on your local machine. You already have a particular distribution, a particular system which have all of these libraries, all these tools, all packed together for you. So it makes it easier for anybody that is working with data to be able to use the Python programming language. So it is a platform for data scientists and also machine learning professionals. So a lot of people that work with data use the Anaconda distribution. It also has a collection of over 1,500 pre-built packages. So which means that we have a lot of packages that are pre-built on Anaconda. So which are a lot of them are related to data science, machine learning, and also data analysis. So this is just to make your work easier as a data analyst and also make you enjoy your work. So how do you now install Anaconda? So Anaconda can actually be installed from the Anaconda official website. So this is the official website of Anaconda. So this is the official website of Anaconda. So you can just download it here. If you're on Windows, you can download this. You can see the setup for Windows. You can see that of Mac and also that of Linux. So by default, you are going to be having that of Windows. So this is the Anaconda distribution. So once you install it, you don't need to be installing any other tools or any other software that which we're going to be using further on. So now, how do we now work with Python using Anaconda? So this is where Jupyter Notebooks now comes. So Jupyter Notebook is an open source web application also that allows you to be able to write Python code and see the results of your Python code. So as a data analyst, you're going to be writing reports. And also you want to be sharing the codes which you use in running those reports. So this is where Jupyter Notebooks makes it easy. So after running a particular code, you see your output below the code which you have already run. So this allows anybody that is going to see your notebook or you want to share it with any other person to be able to see your work and also the results or the output you have already gotten. So from the name notebook, it just looks like a notebook. So literally it's just like a notebook where you write your code and also write your analysis. You also give summary of your analysis. So this is Jupyter Notebook allows it for a data analyst to be able to work with the Python programming language. So it is used for data analysis, scientific computing, and also machine learning. So most of the time, data professionals use Jupyter Notebook, especially those that use Python as a programming language. So if you want to install the Jupyter Notebook, let me go to the link of the Jupyter Notebook. So normally you can install the Jupyter Notebook separately, but because we are already working with Anaconda, we will not need to be installing that. So if you want to access the Jupyter Notebook, just go to your Windows and you are going to be seeing, I'm going to type Jupyter. So you can see Anaconda 3 in brackets. So which means that the Jupyter Notebook comes with the Anaconda. So when you click on it to open the Jupyter Notebook, I'm going to be having this interface. So I'm going to be having something like this opening on your Jupyter Notebook. So this is the Jupyter Notebook home. We call it the home. So I'm going to be seeing all the folders on your local machine. So all the folders which you have, are going to be seeing it, the name here, and also the last time these folders were edited, which you can see it by the right-hand side. So you can see running also. Anytime you have a notebook running, currently I have a notebook now running. This is the notebook. So you are going to see it under the running tab. So we're having 3 tabs here. We have the files, the runnings, and also the clusters. So we have the running tab where you can see any notebook that are running. You also have a terminal running. The terminal is where you can actually install a particular package or library which you'll be needing. So if you want to access the terminal, you click on this particular button, New, then you click on Terminal. So it is going to open on your browser. So once you do Notebook, Jupyter Notebook works with your browser, but you don't need an internet connection to be able to use Jupyter Notebook, but though it still works on your browser. So even the terminal that's going to be opening is going to be working on your browser. So you can see now I've already opened my browser and you can see my documents part. So if you actually want to install a library in Python, you use the command conda, then install, then the name of your library. So anything that follows is going to be the name of your library. For example, I can have a library now called NumPy. So this is how I'm going to install it. Conda install NumPy. If I also have a package or a library named Pandas, so this is how I'm going to install it. So when you also go to, if you are not using Anaconda, most of the time, installing a package in Python goes with what? Pip install. But the fact that we're using the Anaconda distribution, that is why we need to use the conda install, because the conda also, Anaconda also has where it stores these packages. So we need to install, it only accepts packages from that particular distribution, except in the situation where a particular package you are looking for is not in the Anaconda distribution. So that is where you now use the pip install. But most of the time when you are working with the a Jupyter notebook in the Anaconda terminal, you use Conda install. So you just have Conda, then install. So it's just like telling, okay, Anaconda, please install a particular package from me. Conda, install, then the name of the particular package or the library which you want to work with. So you can see now another new tab already have the terminals opened. So when I go to my home and go to running, you can now see that under the running tab, I have terminal that is loading. I also have, you can see I also have notebooks that's also running. So I can, if I want to shut it down, I can just click on shut down and it's going to shut down. And I can also just close the tab. I'm not going to be, I'm going to see. So I can just shut down it, shut down the terminal. So now if I want to go back, I'll go back to my files. I'll now be having my files. So under the new tab too, also, you have where you can create a new book. You also have where you can create a text file. So let me create a text file now. If I can create a text file, but this text file, because I'm creating it on my main that's on my main PC part, is not going to assign it on any folder. So if I create a text file now, so you can see the text, this particular text file. So if I want to rename it now, I can just double click on here and rename it. So I've already created that particular file. If I also want to create a folder here, I can click on folder now also and create a folder. So I want to work on a particular project, let's say analysis of an organization. So I've already created now a new folder. So the new folder is going to be stored as untitled folder. This is the folder I just created now. You can see the last time I worked on this folder is seconds ago. So you can see it now, seconds ago. So if I want to rename this folder now, I can just tick on this checkbox and go to rename. You can see, and name it from untitled folder. I can just name it to my first project. So I've already called it my first project, then click on rename. So I've already renamed it now as my first project. So now you can see it now as my first project. So if I want to now create a notebook now, inside this folder, I'm going to click on this folder. Since I'm already now on the folder part here, then I'll click on new, then click on Python 3 kernel. So this is going to create a notebook for me inside that particular file part. So you can see it now. So you can see this particular notebook now. So if I'm to change it now and name it my first notebook, rename. So you can see it now, it is already under my first project. So if I want to delete this particular folder, you can just click on here and you can see this particular red button, the delete button. So this is how you can delete a particular notebook under a particular folder. So this is how you can just create a project. What if I now want to go back to the previous part I have? You can see this folder here. You click on it, you can see it is saying link to root folder. This is what our root folder, where all the folders and files in our PC is. So I'm going to click on it now, and it's going to take me back to the link to the root folder. So this is how you can be able to navigate the Jupyter Notebook home page. So now let me introduce the notebook interface. So this is the notebook interface. So you can see now we have where you can write your code, and you can also write, you can change this cell to, we call this a cell. So anytime you see something like this, we call it a cell, or sometimes we also call it a block. So we call it a cell or a block. So you can write your code here. You can see it is showing in. So if I'm to just write the figure 3, and I use Control Enter to run it. So I can either click on this particular button, or I can use Control Enter to run it. So when I run it, you can see now I'm having input and output. So anything I input here is going to be shown in this place. Why anything I put here is going to be shown here. Why this particular digit in brackets shows the number of times this particular code is run. So if I run Control Enter again, you can see it is showing me 2 times. If I run it again, I continue running it, it's going to be showing me the number of times I'm running this particular cell. So we also have what we call a markdown cell. So a markdown cell, because now we are not actually a web developer or software developer. So we are a data analyst. We are not just only writing codes. These codes are actually meant to just run analysis or run visualization. So we want a situation whereby you can also type in something like a Word document and be able to explain our analysis to anybody that is viewing it. So if you want to explain your analysis, this is where you now switch the cell to a markdown. So in a markdown now, you can just write anything you want. Jupyter Notebook is not going to take it as a code. So now I'm going to just write 3 and Control Enter. You can see that it has already become a text. So there are various ways of editing a markdown text, but I'm going to explain that later on. So now what if I now want to create a new block? So I can just click on B. So when you click on B now, you can see now it creates a new cell for you now, a code cell. So what if I now click on M? Sorry. If I now want to change it to a markdown, so the shortcut for changing to a markdown is escape, then M. So you can just click on here, then you click on M. So the escape button is actually controlling the Zoom meeting. So you can either use the escape or you just click on an external area, then you click on the letter M on your keyboard. It's going to change it to a markdown. So you can use the B, the letter B, you can change it to you can use it to create a new code, while you use the letter Y to change it to a code block. You can see the letter Y, while the letter M changes to a markdown. While a new cell is going to be letter B. So anytime you click on B, it's going to create what's new cell. So these are some of the shortcuts which one can use to create, which one can ese to be able to navigate the Jupyter notebook. So while running a particular cell, I can just type in 2 + 2 now. This is just a basic arithmetic operation. So Control Enter runs this cell, while Shift Enter is going to create a new cell. So let me just run it here, 2 + 3. So Control Enter is going to run this particular cell. So while Shift Enter is going to run the cell and also create a new block after this particular cell. So this is just how you can navigate the Jupyter notebook. So we also have alternatives to Anaconda. So we have Google Colab. So the Google Colab allows you to be able to use Jupyter notebooks also on the web. So you just need you don't need installing anything on your PC. So this is the interface of the Google Colab. You can just create a new file, new notebook, and you're going to see the interface similar to that of Jupyter notebook. So you don't need to install anything or any software on your PC. You just use this online, use it on the web. So just the same thing, except just the same thing, and there's no difference. You can see a code or a text. So you can run it, you can write a text, and you can also write a code. So this is how the Google Colab is. It's also similar to the Jupyter notebook. So you can also use it to run analysis online. Then we also have VS Code. VS Code also allows you to be able to write Jupyter notebooks. Allows you to create Jupyter notebook and also perform your analysis. So this is how a Jupyter notebook in VS Code looks like. So this is how the Jupyter notebook in VS Code looks like. So this is also another way of interacting with Jupyter notebooks. Then also we have Kaggle notebooks too also. So Kaggle is also another site for data science, which have their own notebooks similar to that of Jupyter notebook, and also allows you to be able to use Jupyter notebooks too also online. So this particular tool are not to be installed on your local machine. So they're always used online, while VS Code is used on your local machine. So it's just based on your preference and what you want to do. Either you install Anaconda or use Google Colab, Visual Studio Code, or use Kaggle notebooks. So now, when performing analysis, so others have already made our work easier. I already mentioned that Python is open source. So there are libraries which have already been created by others for us to be able to make use. So the first library that we have is NumPy. So NumPy is a library which is used scientific. We use NumPy for scientific computing, numerical computing. It also has its own data structures also. So it's going to be needed, and the knowledge of it is also needed as a data analyst. Then we have pandas, which allows you to be able to import and reading files. You can import and reading files with the pandas library. You can also perform exploratory analysis on your data, or also perform some descriptive analysis also too with your data using the pandas. It also has some visualization functions which allow you to perform visualizations using the pandas library. You can also clean your data with the pandas library. So it's also in data. In fact, one of the most important libraries as a data analyst when working with Python. We also have Matplotlib, and we have Seaborn, and we have Plotly. So these three are visualization libraries, allows you to perform visualizations on, allows you to perform visualization as a data analyst. So this Matplotlib and Seaborn allows you to be able to perform visualization. Seaborn mostly allows you to perform statistical visualization, while Plotly allows you to perform interactive visualization. So visualizations which you can put on the web. So if you have visualization which you want users to interact with, so this is where this particular library comes Plotly. So there are also other libraries which you have, but these are just some of the important libraries which one needs to know as a data analyst. So now we're going to first of all introduce ourselves to Python programming language and also the data types and data structures which we have which we can make use of as a Python data analyst. So first of all, Python variables. So what are variables? So when one uses a programming language, one needs to be able to store the data one is working with in that particular programming language. So this is where variables comes. So if you have a particular data which you want to work with in Python, you can just use that data in that format or just say in the raw format. You need to be able to read that particular data into Python, then store it as a variable so that anytime you want to make use of it in your analysis, you are always calling that particular variable. And one of the importance of also creating variables is just to also make the memory efficient too. Also, we don't have to have these scattered numbers or scattered values all over. So instead of just using values directly, we use variables. So variables are containers for holding values. So you just have a value, I want to store it in a particular, you want to name that particular variable, you want to name that particular value, so you just have to create a variable. And variable are just created by assigning a value to a particular name. So once you have your name, which you want to create a variable, and you also have a value which you want to assign to that particular variable, so you just use the equal sign and you assign this value to the particular variable name. So you can see on our, so let me create a new cell now, a new code block. So I'm just going to be using the B. Since I'm going to be running a code. So I'm going to be using B. So now when you want to assign a variable, so your variable name comes by the left-hand side. So it comes first. So I can just call it name, which is going to be my variable name, then use the equal sign, then jump. So your right-hand side carries your value, while your left-hand side carries the variable name. So after this, just Control-Enter, and once you run Control-Enter, Python has already stored this as a variable. So anytime you call the variable name, you are going to be having it. So let me create a new code block now. If I'm to call, for example, something like NA, so when I run it now, you can see it is telling me that name NA is not defined. So this implies that I don't have that it is trying to search for a variable called NA, and it hasn't seen any variable named NA. So, which means that we haven't declared a variable called NA. So that's why we're having this particular error. But what if I call name now? So you can see I have John back, which means it has already searched and it has seen that yes, we have a particular variable called John. So which means we are not going to be expecting another error. So that particular NA now that we run and we do not see the value for NA. So what if we now assign NA now to a particular number? I can just call NA is equals to 6 and run it now. So when I say NA is equals to 6 now, you can see that it has already run the particular code for me, but it doesn't output the result of the particular code. That's because anytime you declare a variable, it only runs that particular, it only creates that particular variable, but you're not going to get the output of the variable. So if you want to get the output for your variable, just need to call it by its name, that is NA, or you use a function called print. So the print also, just from the name print, it prints the value of that particular variable for you. So I can just use print NA, and I can see I'm also adding 6. So now, which means that I've already assigned NA to the, I've already created the variable NA using the value 6. And now, anytime I run NA anywhere in this particular notebook, Python is always going to look for NA and also know that yes, NA actually exists and this is the value of NA. And when you even call this particular variable, you get the value of that particular variable called NA. So now you can either use the print, it's based on your choice, or you use words, you can just use the variable name. Any one you choose is going to give you the output of that particular variable. You can see now here, variables here already created. We have y is equal to 7, x is equal to 5, a is equal to 9. So all of them both have that specific value. Okay, what if I now have, let's say I have y is equal to 7. So let me just create a new code block. Let me just say I have x is equal to 7, and I have y is equal to 7. So let me now run this now. So what do you think now is going to happen? So both of these particular variables now, they have different names but the same value. So are we going to have any issue? No, without that. So if I'm to call x now, so let me just call print x and print y. So you can see now each of them both have their unique value. So none is going to be interrupting the other one. So the only thing is when we are, for example, now having x is equal to 7 now, and also have what x is equals to 8. So the second one, the one that was run last, is going to overwrite the other one. So if I'm to have x is equals to 8 now, and I run this, so the value that I'm going to be getting for 8 is going to be the last one, which I just gave, which means that it has already created a variable called x is equals to 7, and it's now create another one, x is equals to 8. So x is equals to 8. We cannot have two variable names. This variable is just like an ID. So we cannot be having two people with the same ID. So each have to have a different ID. So which means that it has already detected we have a variable of x is equals to 7. So x is equals to 8 is going to overwrite that of what x is equals to 7. Anytime we now have x, we now get the latest value that's assigned to that particular variable. So when naming variables, we have rules which we need to obey. So these rules, these rules that we are going to obey is what is going to make us to prevent, what is going to prevent us from having issue or encountering any problems. That is when we want to call a particular variable name. So you can see now, a variable must start with a letter or underscore character. So a variable must start with a letter and not a number. So if you want to start a particular variable now, I cannot have something like, okay, 8 and th. I will now say equals to 7. When I run this now, Control Enter, you can see it's telling me invalid syntax. And also one thing one needs to take note of also is that you can see when we go back, the color of the value is green, and you can see the color of variables are usually what's dark in color. So even when I was typing this, it was one is able to detect that one is already making a mistake. So both of these should be a variable name, but why is one of these character having different color and another one is also having different color? So from this, one is going to detect that one is likely to encounter an issue. What if also I give an underscore? What if I also give an underscore? I can also name a variable what as an underscore character. This is also a value. So you can see everything is dark in color. So now it's also one, this is called syntax highlighting. So syntax highlighting allows you to be able to know where and where you're having problem when writing a code. So when you know your colors are not matching, then you know that there's a problem involved. So you can see that what a value is green in terms of a numeric variable, while in terms of this variable such as a string or a text, you can see it is red in color. While you can see we have what our operators are what purple in color. So this is one of the things that one should take note when working with variables. So now a variable name cannot start with a number, but can contain number or characters in it. So earlier on we gave 8 is equal to 7 as a variable name. Okay, what if I now say I want to give a variable name of y 9 6? Okay, let me just put it like this and see. So every time to run this now, like I'm going to have this as a variable name because the numbers are actually between two alphabets. So this is going to be a variable name. So you can actually have the alphanumeric variable name, but the alphanumeric variable name should not have a number starting in the beginning of that particular variable name. And also variable names are case sensitive. When we say variable names are case sensitive, it means that when I have y is equals to 7 and I have uppercase y is equals to 7, they are both different cases. So if I'm to call print of y and I'm to call print of uppercase y, I'm going to be having the result of both of them. So Python doesn't detect them as the same variable name. So it is case sensitive. So anytime you have a variable called name and you have another one also with name, but it's starting with uppercase. So just know that they are both two different variables. So now these are examples of a valid variable name. You can see a valid variable name. You can also see this also is also a valid variable name. If I'm to run all of this now, I'm not going to be getting any error because all of them are valid variable names. In fact, this one is having underscore starting at the beginning of the variable name and also in the middle is also a valid variable name. So all of these are valid variable names, with the one that is having a numeric also ending at the end. They also have invalid variable names. So when I run this now, we're going to be running this one by one. So I'm going to pick this now and run it. So yes, from the syntax highlighting, we are wrong, we're having issue. You can even see this particular arrow pointing at this place. So which means that between here and here, there is a problem. We're having a problem in this place. So you need to rename this particular variable. Okay, what if I now also carry this one that is having an iPhone and also run this? You can also see this too also is telling me that there is a problem. So why this particular sign is here is because, which means that it has already detected these two as two separate entities. So you can see this and this are two separate entities. And here from here, you can even see that the syntax highlighting is not matching. So it is what's purple in color. So which means they are what two separate entities. Also the same thing with that of my name that is having a space. This is also not a valid variable name. You can see also this is not also a valid variable name. You cannot have space in between your variable name. And also this that is having a period. So this is having a period. So one of the reasons is because we use period for functions in Python. So we cannot be having a variable name having a period. So we use period in calling functions, which we are going to be seeing later on how we are going to be using it. So my.name is not a valid variable name. So when I run this now, you can see now name mine is not defined. You can see because it's what? It's trying to look for it, whether it's trying to look for it, is it a function that's existing or something like that. Then also have those that are variable names that are starting with a period. The same thing too, also they are not a valid variable name. You can see also those start with a period are not a valid variable name. And also this, also I've already explained earlier also. So these are not valid variable names. So just in summary, just take note of making sure that your variable starts with a letter or underscore character, and your variable name also cannot start with a number, but can contain numbers inside it, and it can also contain underscores inside it. And also the variable is what case sensitive. So now, when assigning values now to variables now, we have ways on which you can assign these values to variables. So the examples I just gave earlier on was just assigning a single value to a single variable. Okay, what if now I want to assign multiple values to multiple variable assignments? So instead of just saying, okay, I want to call name is equals to this, name is equals to Jake, then I will now say, okay, age is equals to 56, then I will now say sex is equals to male. So I have something like this now. So here I've already been assigning I'm assigning name, I'm creating a variable of name, age, and sex. So I can actually create a variable like this for name, age, and sex. But there's also another way of doing that to make my life much more easier. So I can just list the number of variables. I can just list, the variable names first, which is name, comma, then age, comma, then sex. Then I'll now assign all of these two consecutively are going to be assigned to their respective values. So name is going to be assigned to the first value which I'm going to be giving, which is since name is the first variable I mentioned, so which is going to be Jake. Then the next one is going to be the age, so which is 56. Then the next one is going to be sex, which is what's male. So when I run this now, and I also call, you can see I also call print name and print age and print sex. So you can see now I have what Jake, my age, and also what the name. So this is very important, especially when you have like a lot of variables which you want to assign. So this is very, very important. You can use this way of assigning multiple values to multiple variable assignment. So just as what I've already done in this particular place, so the same thing. So if you want to add another variable, you can just come here, comma, just give your comma now, and just add your score. Then you also come here because and you give what the value of that particular score. Okay, now what if I now run this like this now? You can see I'm going to return an error because what? I haven't actually given the value of score. So I need to give comma and give the value of score. So when I now run it, you can see I'm not going to be having any error. So which means now, even if you have to give the number of variable names you give here should be equal to the number of values you are going to be giving here. So it's very important when you want to assign multiple values to multiple variables. So now, if you want to assign, what if you want to now assign one value to a multiple variable assignment? So you want to assign a single value now to multiple variable assignment. So for example, now I have states, which is Kano, and I have capital, which is also what's Kano, and I have what's local governments, which is also what's Kano. So now these are what's 3 variables having the same name. Now, instead of actually stressing myself now, just in each line, I'm going to be giving the states, the capital, and also the LGA. So why don't I just assign this single value to both of these 3 variables? So what I can just do now is state going to be equals to capital, then which is going to be equals to LGA, is equals to Kano. So what this just does is that when you run this now, you're going to be having what? States, capital, and Kano as the same. I'm going to be having print states, and print capital, and also print LGA. So you can see I've already assigned this single value to all these three variables. So what happened here was that, first of all, Python is going to take it as what? Creating a variable of LGA is equals to what? Canu. So after Python creates the value of LGA is equals to Canu, it's now going to take that value of LGA. It's going to now create a new variable of capital based on the value of what? LG. Then create the value of the variable of state based on the value of what? Capital. So it's just as saying this. I can just say animal is equals to what? Dog. So now this is what another. So I just created what? A variable now of animal is equals to dog based on the value of dog. So what if I now want to say domestic animal now? Can now say it's equals to what? Animal. So when I now call what? Domestic animal, so you can now see what I have the value already was assigned a dog, which means you can actually give a variable as into what another variable. But take note that variable that you are creating has to be existing. Because if I'm to just say domestic animal is equals to cat and I don't have a variable what cat, you can see I have what name cat is not defined. It's going to be an error. So for you to be able to assign a variable to another variable, that variable must be having a value. So this is what just happened in this place. So LJ is going to be equals to Canu, then LGA will now be equals to capital, then capital is now going to be equals to state. This is now where you now have a single value assigned to what? Multiple variables. Even if the variable names are going to be 1000, this is how what you can assign, just using the equality, just using the what assignment operator. So we also have what you have was Python comments. So that is where you just want to give a brief explanation of what you have just done. So now let me just, where is this example now? Okay, this is where I just gave for a particular state. So a Python comment starts with the pound sign. So the pound sign is used in declaring a Python comment. So anytime you create a Python comment, Python is not going to take that as a code. It's not going to take or regard it as a code. It's just going to what? Skip it. It will not even what? Mind it. So if I can just say created a state variable. So this is one important of comments. Just give a brief explanation. Please, you don't confuse comments with your text, which you write on your Jupyter notebook. Comments are actually meant to explain your code. So just want to give a brief explanation of your code. But what is happening on your Jupyter notebook is actually explaining the analysis you are performing. Because sometimes the person viewing your notebook is not actually interested in the code. Just want to see the result of your analysis and the approach you have already done, and what was your conclusion on that particular analysis. But the person that wants to make use of your code wants to see what each particular code does. So a comment allows you to just give a brief explanation of that particular code. So we use codes for comments for code explanation. We use it to also make our code more readable and also use to prevent code execution. So look at this particular cell now. When I run this now, you can see now it is what? It's not, okay, let me just do like this, create a variable now called name. It's equals to Johnny. So now, normally without this pound sign, this is going to be created as a variable. When I run this now, you can see, okay, let me just, since I already have name as an existing variable, let me just call it son name. So what if I now call son name now? So you can see now, name son name is not defined. But once I don't have this pound sign here now, you can see what is going to detect it as if I'm creating a new variable. So this is what the pound sign does. So anytime you start a particular line with what the pound sign, it is not going to create a variable. It's going to skip that code. So every line starting with this particular symbol is going to be skipping that particular line, and it's going to prevent it from what? Executing. So we also have what? Multi-line comments. So multi-line comments actually have what? Triple quotation marks. So you can see something like this now. So if you want to like something like a passage, so let me see. Okay, let me double click on this and just copy this. So I can just type a triple quotation mark now as I am here. And I just, in between these two now, I paste it here. So when I run it now, I'm going to be having what? You can see I'm going to be having a multi-line comment. So if you have a comment which is what? Exceeding more than one line, you can use the multi-line for it now. So I can actually create also a variable based on this particular multi-line comments. I can call it comments. So you can see it's already created a variable for me. So if I call this now comments, So you can see what I have now. So this particular symbol actually means what is a new line break. So you can see it's anywhere we're entering a new line, you're going to be seeing these symbols. So this is a slash and an end. It means that what we are going into the next line. So this is how we just type a multi-line comment, and this is how you type a what single line comments. So that's it for today's session. We're going to be stopping with the variables. So tomorrow's session, we're going to be talking about Python data types, the various Python data types we have. So Python works with a lot of data types, and it also stores the values in. So you can see the variables have been created earlier on. So they've been created, these variables are created on various data types. So it depends on the value you have. So the type of value you have, it determines the type of data type which your variable is going to be. So the type of value you have determines the type of data type which your variable is going to be. So we're going to be looking into the various data types which you have in Python, because one is going to be working with a lot of data types, especially one working with data. A lot of data types is going to be coming. So how to work with this data type and also how to make use of this data type, we're going to be talking about that in our next session. So I think that's going to be all for today.